nothing happens. Best time to take action is now.
This is the time to work on you and your business.
So I've created a group,
An online academy for professionals and entrepreneurs. Power Partners will help you
to start helping yourself.
Helped me change my life and my business.
Not a Toastmasters, it's not a BNI, it's not any of these, but it is. So it's all this stuff in one place.
Get the results that you deserve right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen.
see you in Power Partners.
doing today?
I'm doing wonderful because my friend is back.
I am. Had a great vacation. It was absolutely amazing.
And I know you've been back, a minute ago, but then, we did some things, some pre-recording stuff. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I haven't talked to Barbara in like a year.
It seems like, yeah. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that, yeah. Cause last week last week I did the show by myself. So it was like, but it's all good.
It's all good because you're back. I'm back. I can see you. Yay.
Okay. But I'm going to tell on myself.
Uh-oh.
I've been away for a month. Mm-hmm. And, I know what green screens do. I have a green screen. Heaven forbid. You can't, I love the fact that I have a green screen. Well, a friend of mine gave me a really pretty top. And guess what color it was? Green. I put it on and I sat down and I said, because I always come on a few minutes early just to check. Mm-hmm. I was just a floating head. I said, oh, yeah, thank the Lord I came on early. Beautiful top. Totally forgetting about my green screen. So you can see my, It was fun.
Yeah, that's one thing about I found out too the hard way too. But see, at least you caught yours. I've done it where I didn't catch it. And I was like, boom, and I'm like, ooh, with the floating head.
Floating head, yeah. And you just kind of go, oh well, what? Those are the things that make life interesting.
Yeah.
Because once in a while. But anyway, but vacation was absolutely amazing. I drove 4,295 miles in 2.5 weeks.
I hope you took some breaks. You better took some breaks.
Oh yeah. And that was the beauty of it. You know what? I have friends around the country. So I drove from here in Chicago to Tulsa.
Okay.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. Stayed a couple of days with a friend of mine there who's just had a new grandbaby. Cute. She's just 2 months old. So I got to see Abigail. I've just seen pictures. So got to hold her and play with her and just have fun with her. And then I drove from Tulsa to Fritch, Texas, and picked up my girlfriend, Carol, who you know. Yeah. And Carol and I drove out to St. George, Utah.
Wow. You really you did some traveling.
Yeah. Okay. It was a beautiful trip. It was, it was really funny because we drove through the Hopi Indian Reservation. That was very cool. We stopped at the Continental Divide, so we were just right where the rivers go both ways across the country. So that was fun. And we stopped at several of the historic gorges and that are just beautiful, because we went up along the side of the Grand Canyon. Didn't stop at the Grand Canyon, but it kind of went alongside it.
Wow.
And that was great. The only problem was it was 100 degrees in the desert.
Ugh.
And my air conditioning on the car quit.
Oh no. Oh no. I know you was hot.
It got to be funny.
Oh.
I mean, there was nothing, because the air conditioning worked as long as it wasn't over 75 degrees. When I got back, because they couldn't see what was wrong with it. I had a couple of guys look at it while we were in St. George, and they said, we can't see anything. And it worked as long as it was less than 75 degrees outside temperature. As soon as it went over 75 degrees, it blew hot air. Under 75, it blew cold air and froze us out. It was just the funniest thing. So it just got to be just funny. But you know what? It worked while we had to have the windows closed because we went through a couple of storms.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow.
Saw some spectacular storms.
Wow. Those like what they call them, dust storm? What those kind of storms they call
you see them and there's no rain, but it's lightning. The lightning and coming straight down. And I mean, there was a couple of times where we jumped because it was kind of like right in front of us.
Wow.
So it was just an interesting trip. But other than that, the event that I went to was amazing. And we just had such a good time. But altogether, 4,295 miles.
Oh my God. So it took you like how many days to get there?
Well, I drove from here to Tulsa was only 10 hours. And then from Tulsa to Fritch was only like 7. So that was easy. The longest part was from Fritch, Texas to St. George, Utah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So
that was the longest ride. But we just took it easy and we just took our time. And going out, it took us like 15 hours. Coming back, it took us 20. Because we stopped and just kind of buttered around, and then of course came home and went to bed.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah. I'm just glad that you took those breaks. Very important when you're doing that travel.
And then I spent 3 days, stayed a couple of days still in Fritch, and then back to Tulsa. Stopped in Tulsa for another 3 or 4 days, and then home. So it was just a perfect trip.
Yeah, perfect. I always tell people it's really nice. I mean, you can do the plane thing, but it's nice to really travel. I feel like it's awesome that you can travel in the car and then look at the sights, get to take your time, get to look at different things and just experience different, things. Yeah.
And there was just whole bunches of funny things. Like we were in the desert and the first place we stopped had gas. But they had no water and no bathroom.
Oh my God.
So the second place we stopped had water, but I already had gas, but they had no bathroom either. The third, we went to 3 places to get the 3 things we needed: gas, water, and bathroom.
Oh my God.
We laughed so hard. It was just that. So that was kind of indicative of the whole trip. We had a blast. Just driving on, because I love long distance driving. I really enjoy it. And Carol was like, well, I'm perfectly happy being a passenger. So it was like, oh, let's stop there. And so we would just stop. And like when we saw the signs for the Continental Divide, oh, let's stop there. And it is so much fun to take a road trip.
It is. It is.
We just
and I'm glad that you took the time to enjoy the road trip, because there's one thing to take a road trip and having to try to get there wherever you got quick and don't get to experience. But see, you had the time to experience everything while you was on the road.
Yeah. And one of the things that near now I've blanked of the name. It's one of the famous landmarks that you look like you're looking through a needle, like the eye of a needle. And I can't remember the name of it. And that was really pretty. Just a really nice, what was the name? Look. Oh, brother. Oh, I'm blank.
Now it's going to be on your mind.
Now, of course, and I'm going to remember as soon as the show is over. But anyways, they were having a big council there of all the Indian tribes.
Wow.
And so it was just really there. I guess there was over 50 tribes coming together to collaborate and to just to solve issues. And it was really cool because many of them are faith-based. And why we knew it was there was Robin, and see, I've blanked on his name too. He was going to be there, and he's he's a fairly well-known preacher. And so it was so interesting of just see
that's like history, that you're seeing
the culture and the history, and we stopped at several historical sites, and one of the ones we stopped at was going down into one of the gorges and how people got up it. I mean, we drove across the bridge. They literally went down one side, crossed the river, and came up the other side with wagons.
Oh, that back you talking about back in the when it was
back in the day, and that was the route, and they did that all the time. That was the normal route to get across. That was the low spot to get across this gorge. And Carol and I just stood there and went, and we're walking across a bridge because we stopped and got out and we went to all the markers, and it was because I'm a bit of a history buff. I like history.
Me too.
And so it was
but just to pause for a second on that, just to give something on that, you think about how, like you said, they had to travel back in the day because they didn't have the bridge or anything. They had to go through wagons. And probably, they said, well, this is what we have to do. And then nowadays, we got it good where you can just cross the bridge. So I always tell people again, what people had to do to get where they needed to go back in the day is just amazing.
Well, the trip that took us like 15, 20 hours, it took them 4 months. And they literally walked across the desert. Literally walked. I mean, and Carol and I, we complained about the fact that it was 100 degrees and we had no air conditioning.
See?
We were like, at least we were moving, so all the windows were open, the sunroof was open.
We were driving, yeah.
We were driving, we had our little tank tops on, and we were just but what, back then,
when you think of it like that, you're like, okay, I can't even complain about a little air conditioning being brought. I mean, when you think of it like that, right? Yeah. And but it was such a good trip. I'm just so glad that first of all, you deserve to go because you just been, rocking and rolling in what you do, and just enjoy it.
Yeah. It was absolutely a blast. Just really, really, really good. And just so yeah.
I just want to let you know real quick. Well, I already told you at the beginning, but I already want to say, I missed you. And but on the other hand, I said I can't be selfish. I got to make sure that my co-host partner in crime is enjoying, what you always do, and that's life. So this is just a good example. That's why I love when you come back and talk about your trips against taking the moment of life and enjoying every little bit of
self-care.
Yes.
It is not selfish. It is self-care. Because and when I came back, it was like, wow, Barb, you look great. And because I had taken time to do stuff that I wanted to do. I mean, I could have flown, but then you just fly in, Carol and I got to spend, quality time in the car, talking about all sorts of things the things that we're going to be doing. And then friends that we stayed with at a friend of ours, his brother was going to be out of town and graciously let us use their rental property. So Carol and I and another girl, the three of us, we had our own apartment. While we were there. And it was just so fun. So the three of us just had a blast. And it was only like 20 minutes from the convention center, and we helped to set up the convention, the event itself, and just volunteered for that. And so it was such fun.
Now, what was the event called? I'm sorry. What was the?
It was called Master the Power Within. All about getting in touch with you.
Wow.
We're going to have another one. I'm going to tell you now, we're having another one in January. You're going to be hearing about it. It was life-changing, of getting in touch with who you are, what you want, how you're being productive, how you're handling your relationships. All sorts of absolutely amazing things of getting in touch with you, because you know what, everything around you happens because of how you feel, and feelings are fickle.
Yes,
feelings are fickle. How you feel right at this moment can change on a dime.
On a dime. Yes.
And you always hear the statistic, and this goes kind of like right along with what Gloria Grace is going to be talking about too, is how you handle the things around you. It's not what happens to you, it's how you handle that thing that happens to you. You know, like today is National Grief Awareness Day.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know.
We've all suffered loss.
Yes.
We've lost a loved one. We've lost a lifestyle.
Yes.
We've lost a job.
Yeah.
We've lost extreme change in our lives. And sometimes it happened to us. Sometimes we caused it.
Yeah. I agree. Sometimes we do cause losses. Yes.
Sometimes we are the cause because it's because we don't take the time to take care of ourselves. We don't eat right. We don't. Hey, you know, I'm lucky. I am blessed that I'm in the wellness space. So I have products that help me to eat good, whether I eat good or not. So I'm grateful for that. However, there's so many other things. Are you getting enough sleep?
Yeah.
One of my things, as a result of this event that I went to, one of the things was set some boundaries for yourself. So now my electronics go off at 8:00 p.m.
That's good. That's good.
That's it. 8:00. I don't care if I haven't gotten, if I've missed a message. Well, okay, it'll still be there tomorrow morning at 8:00 when I turn it back on. I'm turning it off, and I'm taking breaks during the day. Turn it off. Get away from it. Because I have to admit that I am a little bit of a because I enjoy what I do. I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love helping people. I love talking about nutrition. I love talking about mental fitness. So consequently, to me, I don't feel like I'm working. Barbara.
See, that's the catch.
Channeling the inner, our friend and dearly departed loved one that we loved, that talked about it all the time, Miss Pat Nauert. She used to yell at us all the time.
Yes.
Just if you don't think you're working. Stop it.
Yeah, even when you, like you said, you're having fun in it, you still have to stop it and do some self-care, take care of you.
You have to, right? Yeah. You must take care of yourself, because that is all in how you handle. You know, if we've all had loss I lost my husband, you lost your dad. All of those things, we need to talk about them. We need to internalize them. We also need to move forward from them. And that sometimes is the hardest part.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, is moving forward from it, of realizing that, okay, yeah, this has happened. Am I going to let it define me for the rest of my life? Or am I going to move forward and see what else is out there for me? What it says in the Bible that, God, that I have a plan for you. I know the plans I have for you. Good plans for good and not for harm. Well, you know what? Yeah. So what else is going to be out there after your loss, no matter what it is?
Yes,
And,
definitely.
and
You
that's
just gotta learn how to do it. Well, we're gonna before we bring our sponsor on, because we always got to give them the love. We're gonna have a wonderful, amazing, as I always call the women queens, Miss Gloria Grace Rand, and she's an intuitive business coach. I can't wait to have a conversation with her.
Oh, great to talk to her. Love to talking to her.
I've been waiting on this. I've been waiting on this show. Gloria is just such a gem. So before we talk to this wonderful gem queen, let's give our sponsors some love, shall we? She is.
Hello.
Hello, Gloria Grace. How are you doing?
I am doing marvelous, and I am just jealous about this wonderful trip that you went on, Barbara. It sounds amazing, and I love road trips too. I really do. I much prefer to drive. I
hadn't done one in several years. Well, because of all the craziness that has gone on, haven't done one. So this was, God just put it on my heart that, to not fly. And I'm so grateful that I didn't. Several people got stuck in airports trying to get home or trying to get there. And I just said, you know what? I think I'm going to drive. And it was just the perfect drive. And I'm so glad that I did.
So we want to get it right into Miss Gloria Grace. First of all, welcome to the Time to Shine Happiness Show with the BBs. We call it the BBs. And again, lady, because I knew you. I met you kind of through Chemo Buddies and with Hunter, and you were just
WPN and
I mean, you see, it's like we all just hang out. So now you're on the show.
People.
Awesome.
Exactly. Those are my favorite kind of people to hang out with. So I am delighted to be with you today, because it is so important to surround yourself with people who lift you up and who encourage you and also challenge you at times as well. It's important to be with people who are maybe a little bit ahead of you, so that it gives you some place to strive for. So organizations that we belong to are wonderful, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to do that, to be able to be with people who are going to nurture you and encourage you to practice self-care, which you were talking about, because that's definitely something that I have not always been the best at, but through even losing a loved one, I've learned to learn how to love myself and really take care of myself. And it is interesting that you mentioned that it was what did you say? It was Grief Awareness Day?
It's today? National Grief Awareness Day.
Yeah. That's it is good to be aware of, I guess, to be aware of grief, but also to recognize that everybody grieves differently, and to be able to honor that as well, because there does come a time when you have to let it go, but before you need to let it go, you also have to be in it. You really have to just let yourself do that and let yourself miss people, and it's okay. and also recognize that you're never totally alone, and that those people have just transitioned and they're in a different form,
Right.
because I still believe that we are all spirits, and that we
Yep.
come into this world, we're God manifesting as bodies, using this body to be able to experience wonderful things there are to experience in this world.
Yeah.
And so, when we lose a loved one, we haven't lost them forever. We've just lost their form, which can be frustrating. And I still miss, talking on the phone to people, but I can talk to them anyway.
You know what? I love that you brought that up, Gloria, because I feel like, because I think the same, I feel the same way. And it gives you some of comfort, even though you're going through the grief and you're missing them like crazy. Like you said, you want to be off the phone just to hear that voice, and see their face. But then when you know that what you're saying about the spiritual part of it and everything, it gives you that little comfort. Like, you know what? I know they're not here, but they're really here in spiritual level. So, and then you just think about all the things that you learned from them, that you grew with them. I mean, this is a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that helps. That helps the process of saying, you're still moving on. And I always tell people, they say moving on, but I always say you're just moving forward in the other things that you have experienced, but you'll always have them in your heart and your soul.
Oh yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And with the way technology is today, you may actually still have a way to be able to hear their voice. Perhaps, maybe you have something, recorded, or maybe you've got videos or something that you can go back and watch. And I have all kinds of photos that family photos. I've been sort of going through, trying to organize them a little bit. And I came across, actually, came across my sister's. She had like pictures from her high school classmates. Okay, so these are like people from 1970. She graduated in 1970. What was so funny is I'm going through these people and I don't know who they are. And then I came across one picture and I went, wait a minute, I know this guy. He was my teacher. Now, see, there's 10 years difference between me and my sister. So by the time I got to middle school, he had gone to college. He'd learned to become a teacher, and he was my social studies teacher in junior high. And I was like, holy moly. I would have had no clue about that. So it's so fun sometimes to be able to do that, to look through things like that.
Because you never know.
And to go back and do things. A couple of weeks ago, some friends of mine, we were talking about acoustics and music, and just how acoustics really play a part in what you're watching. Anyways, and I said, yeah, my husband was a musician, and in our home, in our stairway, there was one spot that was absolutely acoustically perfect on the stairway. Just because of the way the stairway was, and he would stop and sing. And so then we would stop and sing at that part. And it's like, let's, because he would be playing. And let's go listen to it on the stairway, because it was acoustically perfect. And so a few weeks ago, that's what I did. I was here by myself, because all the grandkids were out, because I still live in our house. I just sold it to my daughter-in-law and her husband. And so I still live here. So I said, you know what? I was here by myself. I said, I'm going to go stay. And I did. And I went and I sang one of the hymns that David and I sang all the time on the stairway. And it was just, wow. It just uplifted me. That yes, he's been gone. It's 11 years this year, but he was still there, because we used to do that so often. We would stop on the stairs and sing.
That's amazing. And that's so funny that you're talking about music, because I also host a show. I host a podcast. And yesterday I was speaking with someone who actually, she sings at bedsides of people who are dying. And we got into talking though about really the power of music and how
About
it can
music.
reach through to people, especially even like people who have dementia, and they might not be talking, but then if you play a song that was popular when they were young, all of a sudden they start to come alive again. And music brings us back to memories, like you just described, which is so beautiful. And I love music because I always sang when I was a kid, and so I think it's such a wonderful tool and just a wonderful thing to experience, and so that's one of the things that I recommend people do for self-care is spend some time listening to music.
Yeah, music is healing. I always tell people music is very healing.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm like you too. I love music. Yeah.
It's become an absolute subject of using music as self-care. Because one of the things that on another totally different group, we were talking about music and how important it is that when you are like, we none of us can be up all the time. We have our moments where,
of course,
really, we all have those. But if you are feeling a little bit down, for myself, find your song. For myself, when I'm feeling that little bit down, I put on Chubby Checker and I do the twist.
I love it.
It's funny, we all have our go-to songs. Now that you said that, and I know, Gloria, you have one too. So I'm going to say mine is Elton John, I'm Still Standing. I love that every time.
I love that one. Oh, yes, that's beautiful. Yeah.
I love it. As soon as whatever happens in my life, whatever's going on, and I get whatever, I put that song on, and I just be like, I just be going. By the time I get done with the song, it's like I'm just happy.
Gets you back in your groove.
Yeah, Gloria, I know you got a go-to song.
Oh gosh, yeah. And when you said that, I'm like, okay, what is my go-to song? Well, right now I'm actually listening to. I've got a CD in my car by a gentleman named Bob Seema, who I got to see in person perform not too long ago, and his are sort of spiritual songs, but the one that I love is called "I Am," and that one that one gets me going right now. So it's all about because one of the refrains is "I am, we be, you are," and it just, I don't know, it just lifts me up. So.
I mean, just the title of it, like you said, it sounds very uplifting, and I can see why you like it so much. So yeah, so your go-to songs are important. But I mean, first I want go on. I know we get into our conversation, but Gloria, we need to make sure that we give you some time to say who you are, what you do in the world.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. So, well, as you mentioned, I'm an intuitive business coach. I love working with women, in particular, women entrepreneurs, and helping them to really appreciate that they are divine, that you have God, source, whatever you want to call it, that we were created in somebody's image. I say God, that's what I'm most familiar with. And that when you can really align with that and realize that you are a divine person, that it just makes the rest of life go so much easier. And I wrote a book, which you see back there, it's called Live, Love, Engage, How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. And that's what I use as the framework for coaching. And in that book, I talk about something called the L.O.V.E method, which was a divine download that I got when I was meditating, actually shortly before my sister transitioned from cancer in 2016. And it was, this crazy thing where I'm meditating and this idea pops in my head that says, you should write a book about love. And I'm like, I do online marketing. What are you talking about? It's like, I thought it was crazy. And yet I still sat down at my computer after I was done and said, okay, well, if I wrote a book about love, what would I say? And then it was, well, love is an acronym. I'm like, okay. And so it was. And so the L stands for let go and let God. The O is open your heart to receive. The V is value your uniqueness. And the E is embrace your divinity. What I'm talking about. And I realized several years later when I finally was, first off, I had to get over grieving my sister's loss. And when I started to write the book, and I was working with a coach at that time who was encouraging me to really, work on the book and explore even what I believed about spirituality at that point. And it finally hit home. Oh, this is why I was given the idea to write a book. I had to learn how to love myself. And that because I really, even though by all purposes, people would have looked at me and thought I was fine, but I was really good at wearing that mask that said I was fine, not the literal mask, but that, oh yeah, I'm fine. Because that was my go-to even when I was a kid. I was like, how are you? I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay.
But I wasn't really. But through the process of writing the book and learning about what all these things really meant, I can say I'm not only fine, I'm awesome.
Right.
I'm so glad, Gloria, that you mentioned that. And I want to get a little deeper in that because I know I know for myself too, I've been known to say, oh, I'm fine. And I always say, I'm fine. How you doing? So I like automatically switch it right over to the next person instead of getting into anything for me. Because if I knew in my mind, if I started talking just more and more, then some other things might come out that I didn't want to come out because I'm trying to be fine.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Key thing there, you're trying to be fine. And that's where I've gotten caught a little bit. So because I think on those days when we are feeling not quite our upbeat, glowing self, I've had a couple just in the last couple of days, Barbara, are you okay? It's like, well, yeah. And then it's like, yeah, but sometimes, we don't think people can see, but once in a while when you are, I mean, I might not be 100% today, but I'm choosing to not dwell in the stuff that's happening.
So important that word that you said, you're choosing.
I'm choosing.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a delicate balance sometimes, I think, with that, because on one hand, I think it can be good for you to be honest and say, yeah, I'm not 100% right now. Thank you for noticing. And because then what you can do is then you can open your heart to receive. Maybe the person might say, what can I do to help? And that's important, to be able to receive that help. And sometimes when we're acting from that, oh, I'm fine, and we're trying to be brave and all of that, it's like, yes, there are some times where that's good, but if you carry it to the extreme, then you're really hiding your light. And then sometimes people will see that and they're going to call you on it. And even if they don't, it can really start to play havoc, and it can even lead to, problems like, it can cause depression and anxiety and even physical problems. Excuse me. So it's important that you value yourself, value your feelings, and you'll have to kind of sense it out, the person you're with, if it's okay to share, because maybe it isn't. If you're in a business setting, you might not want to unload on them.
And I think for me, sometimes it's not that there's anything going on, but it's just that, like the devil tries to make you just feel down. I mean, even King David, why are you cast down, oh my soul? He had no idea. He just knew he wasn't feeling quite right. It could be something physical going on in your body. It could be some outside, something that's coming into your house that has changed. But feelings are fickle.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's once in a while, it's like, gee, well, there's nothing. Why do you see that? Well, you're not quite yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then it's time to take stock, because if somebody else is noticing something, maybe I need to take some time to sit back and relax and meditate and just say, hey, what is going on? And journal. And I have people just journal. I use morning pages, and just whatever comes into your mind, that's what you write.
Yeah.
You're not scripting. You're not
writing a to-do list, your whatever comes into your mind. And sometimes it's like, oh yike, where did that come from?
Yeah. And I'm going to point out though, if someone calls you on it and then you check in with it yourself and you're like, no, I'm fine, then realize it might be something with them, because they may be actually projecting it onto you because they've got something that's a little off.
That is good.
So then you'll just be, acknowledge that, because again, it's one of the 4 agreements, don't take things personally and don't make assumptions. So it's so important to do that. So yeah, but it is good to check in with yourself first. Yeah.
You know what, Gloria, it's good you said that, because something happened to me. I was having a conversation with a business partner and friend, and he was, you can kind of tell when a person's not themselves, their day, they're having one of them bad days, right?
Yeah, right.
And it started off with, just asking, they were calling me about a business thing. So I was explaining to them, okay, this is what we need to do, whatever. And then it went into, well, I don't really understand that. It sounds like you don't understand all the way too, Bar. I said, well, whoa. I just explained to you. We talked about this last week. So I'm thinking in my mind, am I losing it? I know we just talked about this a few days ago. And now you're like, I don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. And then towards the end, I said, let's just pause on this and we can always come back tomorrow. I mean, we still got time to work. I was just kind of like, okay, let me get out of this. Cause we need to pause because you need to find out. I need to find out what we're talking about. And then like maybe 3 hours later, after I got on the phone, they called me back. They said, I'm sorry. I put a lot of garbage on you and I was just having a bad day. Something happened. So I'm so glad they recognized. I mean, I wasn't
absolutely.
like, trying to call them out. I was just like, okay, let's get off the phone because this is not going well. And they kept thinking it was me. He kept putting it back on, oh, Barbara, it's you. You seem like, and I'm like, but I'm not, I'm just asking, So you're right, Gloria. Sometimes people can put what they're stressed, what they're dealing with, and throw it to you, to the point where you got to make sure that you don't get that energy. And all of a sudden you start you interpret into you. And all of a sudden now you're upset.
Exactly.
And you're trying to figure out, okay, well, how did I get all upset all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Yeah. Internally, you could take that vibe in.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I know I'm a bit of an empath, and I know there's a lot of people out there who do that, who can kind of take on that energy. And so I have to learn to be able to kind of, draw some boundaries for myself. Cause I still remember I was trying to work with a client, trying to help her. She was trying to get a job. I was working with her on her resume. And every time I talked to her, she just always just said, nope, that's not going to work. No, I've already done this. No, I've already tried that and everything. And I started getting a stomach ache while I was having this conversation with her on the phone. And I finally was like, you know what? I don't think we're the right fit. I don't think we're the right fit to work together. Let me, I'll see if I can, refer you to some other people who might be able to help you. Because it was like, oh my goodness. Now I've since learned, to be able to protect myself better than that. Cause it's amazing what can happen with other people's energy.
I love time that every time I said something, sorry, Barbara. Every time I said something to her, she's, well, I know that. Well, I already know that.
Oh, I hate that.
Well, I know that. Okay, fine. Well, if you know that, then you obviously don't need me.
Exactly.
So yeah. And it's like, that was her issue. That was like, okay, fine. Yeah, this is not a good client for me. And so let's not work together.
Well, Barbara, I'm glad that you and Gloria said that, because a lot of times people will we take on clients, you're talking about clients, and we're just like, well, they signed up with me, they paid, so I got to get through this struggle with them. Because like you said, sometimes it might not be your client, and some people don't realize and say, okay, let's end this, let's move on, you maybe be somebody else. But we'll just, some people just go through the process still and be like, oh, I just can't wait, the back of your mind. Oh, I can't wait to get rid of this client because this is not working. But I didn't want to say anything, And you and Barbara did the right thing, because you're not only saying to yourself, okay, there's a boundary here for me, but also you were thinking about the client to say, okay, if they're not going to get what they need from me, I need to make sure and be accountable that they're going to go to somebody else that they get their value from.
Yeah. Because that's the thing I've learned now in being in business since 2009 is that you're not going to connect with everyone. You can't, and that's why it's good to know that, don't be afraid of like competition, because there are enough people around there that you're going to be able to find somebody to work with you. The right people are going to be drawn to you, and those are the people you want to work with. And then the people who, for some reason, maybe you attracted them because you were putting out the wrong vibe at one point, or not the wrong vibe, but let's just say the vibe that maybe you didn't intend to put out. And so you attracted this person into your life. Then you can say, okay, yeah, this isn't the right fit, and find somebody else for them. But that goes back to really starting to value yourself and really value who do you want to work with? What types of clients do you want to work with? And be able to honor yourself. And that's where, self-love comes into it. It's about loving yourself enough to know that I want to work with this type of person. And if someone comes to me that, wants to work with me, but I can tell we're not the right fit, then you're going to lovingly send them away and find them maybe somebody else to work with instead, to protect both of you, to make it a win-win, because that's what you want.
And then sometimes, Glory, like I tell people, everybody might not be your client that you meet. That you might meet them to be, maybe another good friend, or maybe a business partner.
Absolutely.
So it can be in different areas. Everybody's always saying, "Oh, that's gonna be my next client." I said, sometimes it might just be a friend. We don't have to always. You never know what's gonna turn out to be. I mean, me and Barbara, I just think about our relationship that, we started out, she came, the WPM, the whole thing. It seems like it's been years and years now. And then, we separated because, I basically stopped in Chicago with that for a minute. And, but I always said in my mind, I said, me and Barbara need to be doing something. I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be at the time, but at the time he wasn't there yet. And then we came back after maybe a year?
Yeah, a little over a year.
Little over a year. And we just I was telling her about this network I created, that I started and everything. And now we became co-hosts.
Yeah.
Now I could have tried to sell her something that I do. She could have tried to sell me something. Well, we have talked about it, but that wasn't the main thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like I tell people, don't discard the fact that just because they're not your client, they might be something else in your life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's why it's good to just develop relationships with people, with no expectations, and then just get to know them, and then see, because it could be that you may know that they would be perfect to help this other friend that you have, and it's like, you don't need their service, but someone else who would really benefit. And I love doing that. I love being able to connect people with other people. And that gives me a lot of joy to be able to do that. And I saw you Barbara, you lit up like right away. So you must do the same thing.
Oh yeah. That is so fun.
Yeah, it is fun. So fun. Yeah. I love to tell people, oh, wait, you need to go to my friend Barbara Ellis, or you need to go to Gloria. They know that. And I don't have any problem doing that. Some people are like, well, maybe, if they're doing kind of similar to what you do, people in your ear, similar to what you do, maybe you shouldn't do that. Why not? They're not my client, they're their client. Let them, it's like, come on. It's about helping them.
We say often that there's 7 billion people on this planet. We cannot possibly service them all. So
exactly. Right. Yeah. And if they're meant to be, you are still come back to you. They may, maybe they'll work with Barbara for a little while, and then they realize that, I know Barbara does something else though. Maybe I need to go back in and talk to her. And because you lovingly referred them to you, you didn't burn any bridges. You actually built trust there. And that's why then they're able to come back to you. So you always want it, well, as they say in WPN, treat everyone as the one, so that you can, and that way
they'll come back.
Yeah.
Like you said, Gloria, because, people see that trust and they see that you cared enough to say, you know what, I want to get you to somebody that's really going to help you succeed in what you have to do. And people, they take, like you said, Gloria, they really like, wow. Gloria really cared about me to the point where she sent me to somebody else that can do. I got to get back to her just to give her the love.
Right.
I got to thank her for that,
Yeah.
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 It's just, isn't it Maya Angelou that said people don't care what you, or it's that they want to know that you care,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
absolutely the truth. If you
Mhm.
do more, like one of my favorite sayings that I have out on my wall is Zig Ziglar's. When you help
Yeah.
enough people get what they want,
Mhm.
you'll
Yeah.
automatically have everything that you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it's absolutely the truth.
Mhm.
And you just,
So true.
because to work for the good of all.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Well, I know our time is up. See, Gloria, this is what happens, right,
I
Barbara?
know. I know. I just looked at the time too and went, "Holy, we've been a half an hour already. How did that go by so fast?"
Good conversation.
Yeah.
So, Gloria, can you let everybody know? I'm going to put on here your website and just, let them know just how they can contact you and any lasting thoughts that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can go to gloriarand.com. And in fact, if you want to even just schedule a conversation with me, you can go to engagewithgloria.com. And that takes you right to my calendar page, and you'll be able to set up an appointment, and would love to chat with you. And I would just say, in closing, the important thing is to just let go of the idea that you're not worthy, or you're, not good enough, and just really value what is unique and special about yourself, and realize that my mom used to say, God doesn't make junk. And she's right. You are a uniquely amazing person, and you deserve all the happiness and love in the world. So start by loving yourself, and all the rest will take care of itself.
Very well put. God does not make any junk. You are so true. Because these are these lovely queens that I always see and talk to. So thank you. Thank you, God. Thank him always. So
always, yes.
So Miss Barbara, my co-host lady, welcome back again. And any lasting thoughts? I know one thing I want you to mention before we go is the book.
Oh, yes. It was my startup advice for small businesses. There's 8 of us authors, and it's you can see it on my wall. And then Barbara put a link for it. And right now you can get it for $2.99 on Amazon for the digital version. So it's very cool. Anyways, but when we launched, it was such a fun thing to have 8, because over 300 years of entrepreneurship advice. And so right now, so many people are coming into the home business space. Number one, it's a great tax deduction. My whole trip was a tax deduction. To know what you are entitled to has a tax deduction. But read the book. We had such a good time putting it together. And we got to be number 1 in 2 categories.
Oh,
so
congrats.
Yeah,
congrats.
In new releases and startups. Startup entrepreneur for entrepreneurs. So it was just such a fun thing, and just a work of love of all of us, just of our journeys, because we've all had interesting journeys. The thing is, I think the overall theme of it was, hey, you know what? Get help. You are not doing business by yourself.
That's right.
Ooh, and you know what? That's. I mean, I want to leave it there, right there, Barbara, because I want to talk more about your book next time. But you're right, and just having Gloria on and yourself and what you do and what I do. This is what we always say: get the help if you need it. Don't stand back and say I can do it all, because no, you can't. Believe me, I'm a witness.
You and me both.
Please bring on the coaches and the people that know and has been there and have done it and have their stories, like you said, Barbara, to teach you and guide you. So I want to leave everybody with that. Buy Barbara's book, talk to Gloria, and talk to me if you need some help with social media visibility. We're all here for you. And just want to leave it there. So everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the happy Tuesday to everybody. And we will see you next week. Gloria, it has been so wonderful having you here.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am so blessed to be surrounded by Barbaras today.
Take care.
The funny one was when our guest named
Today, over 1 billion children in the world live in poverty. At Help Heal Humanity, our goal is to connect children in need with people like you who want to make a difference. Our student sponsorship program helps provide children with the necessities for a healthy and successful start to life. When you sponsor a student, you're not only giving them the gift of education, you're giving them the best chance for a brighter future. 100% of your donation supports the tuition fees, uniforms, textbook, and school supplies needed to thrive in a safe and healthy learning environment. Sponsor a student now and be the catalyst for their brighter future.